Every financial crisis in history came with warnings. Not hidden ones, not coded ones. Warnings sitting in plain sight, in the data, in the behavior of institutions, in the way capital was moving through the system like water finding a crack in a dam. And yet, almost no one saw them. Not the regulators, not the economists with their models, not the analysts paid to watch nothing else. I saw them. Not because I am smarter than those people. I saw them because I was looking for something fundamentally different. I was not looking for what the market was. I was looking for what the market believed it was, and how far that belief had drifted from reality. That gap, that distance between perception and truth, that is where every crisis is born. It is September 1992. The British pound is the most defended currency in Europe. The British government has staked its credibility on it. The Prime Minister has spoken publicly. The Chancellor has promised that Britain will not devalue. The entire institutional weight of the United Kingdom is positioned behind that single commitment, and I am preparing to bet against it. Not recklessly, not emotionally, because I have done something very simple that almost no one else was willing to do. I read the system. I looked at Britain's economy, the unemployment, the inflation, the interest rate required to stay inside the European exchange rate mechanism. Then I looked at Germany, keeping rates high after reunification, and I asked one question the market had not yet fully asked. Can Britain sustain the pain required to stay in this system? Not theoretically, in reality, politically, economically, humanly, can they hold? The answer was no. The fundamentals said no. The political pressure said no. The only thing saying yes was the official position of the British government, and official positions are often the last thing to reflect reality. We shorted $10 billion worth of sterling. On the 16th of September, Black Wednesday, the pound collapsed. We made over $1 billion in a single day. But that trade was not made on that day. It was made the moment I understood how to read what a financial system actually is, not what it claims to be. A crisis is never a surprise. It is always a correction. Most people experience a financial crisis as a sudden shock, something that arrived from outside and destroyed what was working perfectly before. This is completely wrong. A crisis is the moment a system is forced to reconcile what it pretended to be with what it actually is. Every crisis follows the same arc. A prevailing bias develops, a belief that things will continue as they are. That belief drives behavior. That behavior reinforces the belief. Prices rise, leverage builds, risk is underestimated, and then something small cracks the belief, and the entire structure built on top of it collapses. Markets do not simply reflect economic reality. Markets participate in creating it. And when the reality they have created diverges too far from the underlying truth, the system corrects violently. The crisis was never in the crash. It was in the quiet period of delusion that came before it. So I never ask whether prices are high or low. I ask what belief is holding this system together right now, and how far has it drifted from what is actually true. The further the drift, the closer the correction. Remember that. Here's something counterintuitive. The most dangerous signal in any financial system is not the weak participants, it is the strongest ones. when the most sophisticated players have committed themselves fully, institutionally, publicly to a particular belief, two things are true simultaneously. The belief has reached maximum saturation, and the exit, when it comes, will be catastrophic, because everyone moves in the same direction at the same time, and sophisticated players move large. I saw this in the Asian financial crisis of 1997. The belief that Asian currencies were stable, that the dollar pegs would hold, this was not held by foolish people. It was held by serious institutions, serious governments, and that overwhelming confidence itself was the warning. When everyone intelligent agrees, study the assumption they forgot to question. That assumption, sitting so deep beneath the consensus that no one thinks to examine it, that is where the crisis lives. Sit with that for a moment. Now the most practical tool I can give you. Before a crisis becomes public, there is always a gap between what the participants say and what they do. Institutions say they have contained the risk. Their hedging behavior says otherwise. Governments say the currency is stable. Their reserve depletion says they are losing a battle quietly. Central banks say inflation is transitory, but the bond market, where real conviction lives, tells a different story. I do not listen to what the system says about itself. I watch what it does with its capital, because capital does not lie. This is how I read 2008 developing years before it became the event we all know. The language was confident, the ratings were AAA, the official story was that risk had been so efficiently distributed it had essentially been eliminated. But the actual positioning of the people who understood what was inside those products told a completely different story. The gap was enormous, and enormous gaps do not close quietly. What a system says about itself is its aspiration. What it does with its money is its confession. Learn to read the confession. I have made enormous mistakes applying these exact ideas. In 1987, I had read the system. I was convinced the coming crash would begin in Japan, the most extreme excess, the most dangerous valuation. I positioned accordingly, short Japan, long America as a hedge. The crash came from America first, from program trading and portfolio insurance mechanisms I had not fully accounted for. In a single day, I lost hundreds of millions of dollars, not because the theory was wrong, but because I had stopped reading the system and started telling it what to do. There is a difference. Reading requires humility. It requires holding conclusions loosely. The moment you fall in love with your own reading, you are no longer reading, you are predicting, and the market has no interest in your predictions. The warnings are never hidden. They are in the distance, the growing, undeniable distance between what a system needs to be true for everything to continue and what is actually true underneath. The reflexive loop can run for a very long time, long enough that people inside it believe it is permanent, long enough that those who see the distortion are called wrong, early, naive. But the loop always ends, because reality is not negotiable. The skill is not in predicting when it ends. The skill is in recognizing that it will, and in positioning yourself with enough patience and humility to still be in the trade when reality finally arrives. Most people do not fail to see the crisis coming because they lack information. They fail because they cannot afford, emotionally, professionally, socially, to believe what the information is telling them. The hardest part of reading a crisis is not the analysis, it is the courage to trust what you have read when everyone around you is still certain. If you believe financial markets are something to be understood at the deepest level, not just traded, but truly read, this channel was built for thinkers like you. Subscribe, and let's continue going deeper.